introductory summary before we get going. So good morning. Welcome to the 2022 Oregon Active Transportation Summit. My name is Gwen Shaw. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm an engineer at Tool Design here in the Portland office. So welcome to the Providing Transportation Options to Diverse Communities session. We are very glad to have you here. We have got a lovely panel and I will let them introduce themselves momentarily. You can type your questions in the chat or use the raise hand tool. Both are found at the bottom of your screen. Please use the social media hashtag OATS22, OATS22 to post about the summit on social media. And don't forget to visit our website at thestreettrust.org to learn more about our other programs and activities. Now, without further delay, please welcome to your screen this lovely group of panelists.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Gomez. I'm the Passenger Program Specialist at Rogue Valley Transportation District in Southern Oregon. And we do have a full lineup of great, hopefully really helpful information for you all today, ranging a wide array of topics. So my wonderful co-hosts are Kathy Fitzpatrick, who is a mobility manager over at Mid-Columbia Economic Development District in the Gorge area. And then we also have Kathy Klesick, who is the Northwest Transportation Options Manager over on the Oregon coast. So again, we have a great lineup of things we'd like to discuss with you all today, and hopefully share some helpful information to help you in the work that you do in your communities. I did want to kind of make a connection to public transit, transportation options, and active transportation. All of us up here on the panel in some way work with a transit district and certainly promote transit. I of course work for a transit district in Southern Oregon. I think it's our thought, we've heard about it throughout the conference, but one of the reasons I know I like, and I believe my other coworkers like to work in transportation, is it intersects so many different portions of people's lives, everything from, of course, equity, environmental, and economic as well. And we see public transit as whatever we can do to make public transit more accessible will also make walking and biking more accessible. All transit riders are pedestrians, and again, I think whatever we can do to make public transit easier, more convenient, can extend the range of pedestrians and also people who ride bikes. So again, thank you all for joining us, and I will go ahead and get started on my section. So let me pull up my screen. All right, can you guys see my screen all right? Perfect. So the first topic I'm going to be talking with you all today is transportation options to Spanish-speaking communities, and specifically in my area in Southern Oregon. Oops, there we go. Skipping forward a little bit. So Southern Oregon is where Rogue Valley Transportation is located. In Jackson County, so just over the California border, Medford, Ashland, Eagle Point, Such Point, those areas. There's a large Latinx community in Jackson County, with right now just about 14% of the population identifying as Latino or Latina. And that's one of the fastest growing demographics in our community, and also the state of Oregon. Within that group, there's also a sizable Spanish-speaking community. And that group is also growing. We also do host many seasonal and migrant farm workers that work the orchard and vineyard fields throughout this spring, summer, and fall. So it's really important for us that we outreach to all members of our community. And this is one of the groups that I've had the pleasure of working with, and it's something I find a lot of passion in. I'm a first generation American, and I remember when I was a child, I had to be the translator for my parents as growing up in a mainly Spanish-speaking household. So I know deeply the complexities that arise in trying to get clear communication out regarding public information out to these communities, and something I take a lot of pride and joy in working in. So I think some of the things I'm going to be talking about, I don't think it's like groundbreaking information, but it's something that I think it's really important to understand what the commitment is, and also understand that this is like an ongoing work that we must do in all of our programs and services that we offer. So the basics of, and primary outreach tools are quality translation. So again, this is in most cases actually hiring a professional translator to translate your documents and your public outreach, and making sure they're in a easy to understand context, and that the documents are easily to understand. And again, the quality of the translation is high. So you don't want to be using things like Google Translate. You may have somebody in your organization that's able to translate very well. So that's great to have, but for the most part, I think hiring a professional translator kind of makes this process easier, and kind of hopefully assures that you're getting quality translation out there. Cultural competence, so knowing the community, knowing the needs, barriers, challenges that the community faces. Also, the thing I really want to highlight was this ongoing work. So this isn't just something you check the box. This is something that you're working throughout the life of a program, throughout the life of everything you do in your work for transportation options, and certainly everything we do with our work in public transit. One of the main things I want to touch on are partnerships. So partnerships are absolutely essential when doing this work. It's all about connecting. When you're trying to connect to I think different communities, goes across the board. You want to find folks that live in that community. There are leaders within that community, and work with them to further the goals you have. And it's also it's a partnership. That means it's a two-way street. You look for ways you can help them spread their mission and their work. In this photo, we have Lidia Caballero, who's a multicultural liaison over at the Medford Police Department here in Southern Oregon. She is an absolute dynamo. She's so well connected to all portions of the community. She's one of the people I reached out to early on when starting work at Rogue Valley Transportation District. And she was an absolutely great resource to have. But I think the example here is that there's Lilias, I think, all throughout the state and in all communities that you can work with to get more involved in these communities. Again, it takes time, so you really have to invest genuine interest and time in these communities and these groups to develop and maintain these partnerships. So it's not just going to these folks when you need something. It's really putting in the work to understanding how you can have a mutually beneficial relationship. So as an example, I helped Lily on many events that she's working on throughout the year, and many campaigns through my work here at RVTD, and likewise she will also help me reach out to the Latinx community here in Southern Oregon. So again, invest time, express interest, and it's going to be noticed. So this is an example of just some of the diversity of partnerships that we work with to reach out to the Spanish-speaking community in Southern Oregon. So everything from Unite, who's like a nonprofit organization that works with local farm workers and farm worker advocacy. School districts are absolutely huge partner for us. For the most part, I think they're trusted in the community. It's already a great meeting place for many families and the folks who are trying to outreach. So again, a wide range of folks, everything from sports leagues to local universities to local business networks. And one of the big ones, of course, we have a Latinx interagency networking community, which I'd imagine you may have something similar in your community, but it's a group of folks that work with the Spanish-speaking Latino community in Southern Oregon. We all get together, share news and information that's happening in our communities, and look for ways we can better serve this community. So again, another great tool that we use to network with different leaders and folks who are well connected in the community. And again, I don't think this is unique to Southern Oregon. I think these are groups that probably exist in your areas as well. Another one, again, is don't expect your audience to reach out to you. You need to reach out to them. And I think this is especially important to the Latinx and Spanish speaking community is you can't just do things the way you've been doing them. You need to learn about established communication channels, networking channels, get involved with those channels, again, spend and invest time and genuine interest in these groups and regularly engage. So not just going to these places when you need something or when you have a project that you want to promote, but this is where again, building those relationships is absolutely key. So going to where they are, I'd mentioned again, some of the places we go to, from churches, restaurants, social hubs, local school districts. These are all social hubs and partners we use to outreach our community. Whenever we have everything from service changes, promoting transportation options outreach, or generally trying to get feedback throughout the year on how we can improve our service, how we can build our service around the needs of this community. Also wanted to highlight one of the somewhat recent things that happen in our communities. As many of you may know, back last year, September of 2021, there was a really horrible fire that happened in really the middle of our valley, from North Ashland all the way to Medford. It was about 3,000 homes, households, and businesses that were destroyed in Phoenix and Talent predominantly. And Phoenix is is home to a large Latino population, and it was absolutely devastating what the fire did. But it was really nice to see our community come together really quickly because of these established networks. So we have folks here on the right. We have a local restaurant, La Tapatia, and there's a wonderful woman, Yahaira Padilla, who was the daughter of the restaurant pictured there. They quickly put together this network of folks helping each other, and specifically helping the Spanish-speaking Latino population get access to services. Because I had a network established with these folks and contacts with these folks, we were able to quickly get in there, provide shuttle service, bus passes, and we also started a bike giveaway program, or expanded our current bike giveaway program to give or fix bikes donated to us from the community and get them out to people that needed them as a mode of transportation. And as part of that, we've given out a few hundred bikes to Alameda fire victims, and also folks throughout the community that are needing bicycles. I wanted to go over a few of the best practices that we had put together. So originally we had all gotten together. Our group of transportation options folks was definitely Millar of ODOT. And these are some of the best practices that we kind of identified through all of our groups. And Kathy Klezak's going to talk a little bit more about this. But again, as a recap, address these communities throughout the life cycle of a project. It's not just a one and done. Build trusted relationships over time. Identify needs, barriers, and opportunities. So don't just assume, but actually actively engage in the community. Use plain language communication, and make sure that your translation is top notch, and it's not just something on Google Translate. And again, evaluate, modify, and improve your project over the course of your work to better fit the group that you're working with. So I will stop my screen there. And I think I'm passing it off to Kathy Klezak, who's going to be talking about the work that she does in Northwest Transportation Options over on the Oregon coast. So I'll pass it off to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Edom. So I am, as Edom said, out on the Northwest coast. I cover Clatsop, Columbia, and Tillamook counties with transportation options, and a lot of outreach focused to our non-English speaking population, which out here on the coast is mostly Spanish speaking as the language that they speak. So when I refer to Spanish as the language that in my slides, it's because that's my primary secondary language that I focus on. I use the pronouns she, her, ella because I also speak Spanish. It's not actually readily apparent if you look at me that is the case. And so a lot of the things that Edom kind of focused on really become important when you don't have the ability to look like you might be part of the community. And so it's super important that you take the time. And to start things off, we're gonna take a poll. So hope you're all paying attention. I'm not sure if Maddie's on right now, but I'm hoping she is, and she can launch that poll for us.
I am, but the poll is not in here anymore. I don't know why it didn't stick.
Oh,
I'm so sorry about that. I will busily go put it back in the background, but it's gonna be a few minutes if that will work okay, and you can talk around it, and then it'll come back soon.
sure. Okay,
Sorry about that.
so that's all right. Curveballs are a thing, and with the Zoom world, so I will pivot and go to sharing my screen, and that kind of takes away my lead in to my presentation. But oh, and now I am not allowed to share screen. I can't share my screen.
Oh, I will make you the host. That's weird. And then
Oh,
take
I
it
don't
back
think you need
later.
to. Yeah,
Or I'll make you a co-host.
there we go.
Let me know if that does the trick.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, Zoom is our friend. So thank you all for being here. And unfortunately, we didn't get to do the poll. The poll is meant to illustrate to you uh, how, to me, a lot of these steps in reaching out to a non-English speaking population are kind of lead us back to lessons we've learned when we were in kindergarten or in elementary school. And a lot of that is common respect and courtesy and kind of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. So, steps to engage uh, groups with limited English proficiency don't need to be complex, and we start with the basics and remember that people that don't speak English in our world face extra challenges that we may not be aware of on the surface. And so, by no means are my methods that I am going to talk about the magic wand and the answer. It's a multifaceted approach. As Adam was saying, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It takes time to establish these relationships, and it takes time to reach the goals that you're after. And sometimes that ends up not even being the thing that you want to do. You get into a relationship, and then you learn that maybe there's something that would serve the community better than what you started out thinking, and you have to be ready to pivot in that way. So, engagement strategies. If you've attended some of these other sessions, some of these things have already been called out that address equity or social outreach opportunities. They're not new messages. Going over what many of this harkens back to kindergarten days, as I said, and lessons learned early on. And just like our early childhood experiences, these provide a foundation for our later experiences. They're not rules, they're foundations so much for building a relationship. And to me, being available for virtual or in-person meetings meant to attend without my own agenda. And so you want to make yourself available in all senses of the word. Don't just be present in physical body, but pay attention. Be engaged, pay attention, and be there for the communities that you're reaching out to. Don't go with your agenda asking, that you're going to ask for something. Go with open ears and find out what the needs of the community are. And so that way you get to be familiar with the group and what their goals and what their missions and their visions are. And they get to know you. And they get to know you, that you're not only in it for a once and done thing, to be able to, as Edem said, check the box that you did that outreach, boom, I'm done, and never see them again. And so that is a really important thing. So when they then invite you to participate in something else, make sure that you say yes. Make yourself or somebody available that they are also familiar with. If you can't make it, you can't just send a stranger in and expect results, because they don't have a relationship with that person. They don't have any trust established with that person. So if you're invited and you don't speak Spanish, make sure that you go, because you've been there to establish a trust, and you bring somebody that speaks Spanish or the language of the community. So you're building on the relationship that you've already created. It's not, this is one of the reasons why continuity is so important. And so you get in there, you build a relationship, start building that trust. You can't just, send in a substitute, because it doesn't work that way. Follow through with what you promise that you're going to do. If you say you're going to deliver something, make sure you deliver that and more if you can. And that can be your presence, that can be supplies, that can be helping hands, that can be extra volunteers, that can be, the draft of a plan and the results of the outreach that you did. If you took a survey in a group, make sure you check back in with them and you give them the results of the survey, and make sure you give them that in a format that they can understand. And so it's a multi-level, multi-layered approach. As Adam said, he really laid it out really well. And so just really want to follow up. It basically is what mine ends up being, is a follow up on his to build up what he was saying. Actively engaging will give you opportunities to advocate for the concerns and the priorities of the people that you are reaching out to. And so just because you left that one particular meeting and you're not meeting with that community group anymore doesn't mean that you then never speak to those concerns that they've voiced in your presence ever again. And so if you have people saying to you that they're concerned about their safety at a bus stop, on a walking path because it's not well lit, and you tell them that you hear them and you support them, and then you happen to be in a meeting of city leaders and they're talking about lighting a path and how to prioritize it, well, it's now your job to say, hey, I advocate for this and this is why, and then report back to the people that you were sitting in the community group with to say what the outcome is. So there's it again, not a once and done, not a check the box. It becomes a really all-encompassing approach that you need to take. And so follow through with that support. That is all part of the support. If you're participating in an event, show up early, stay late, and offer to help with the little parts of the event, not just your table. You walk in and you're there. Yay, I'm here. Look, the party can start. And then when you're done, you pack up yours and you're out the door. That's not a partnership. That's one of the most important things that I definitely learned is, as Adam was saying, show up, be present, and it will be noticed. And so if you're not just showing up for your part of the piece of the pie and then leaving, people will notice that and you will get more engagement going forward. And so those are the strategies, lessons learned. Follow up on exactly what Adam was saying, collect the information, be a good partner, collaborate, go out of your way to help, bring things that are appropriate, and that can be extra volunteers and hands, not always plastic things to give away. Share your contact information so that people know how to get back in touch with you. Reach out afterwards and thank people for allowing you to participate with them and opening that door and inviting you. And then, reach back for the other side of the coin. If you have an event that you think people would be, it would be good for people to be at, then you have opened that door and you can and invite people back to participate with you. And make sure you are always saying thank you and showing that in not just words, but in actions. So it's a complete pie. So if you're asking for people to participate in a survey or help develop a plan, make sure you're showing them the results of that plan as well. And, I just recently had an experience with a Safe Routes to School plan where I forgot that last piece of the element of the pie. And I wasn't remembering that the results needed to be in Spanish as well, and was asked for Spanish results by the transportation board that I was on, that I was reporting on the draft plan about. And I had to say, I didn't know. I didn't know whether there was going to be a Spanish plan or not. And so it's a learning process for everybody. And so if You want to foster continued engagement. Part of that is the results have to also be readable and appreciable by the people that you are asking for input from. And so that is my piece of the presentation. And I just want to say thank you. Your participation matters. Your input is important. And you're a valuable part of creating new opportunities all across the board. Thank you. And I think I'm handing it off to the other Kathy.
I think
So
we're,
actually,
yeah,
yeah,
I
so
think
actually
we're
I have,
going to Adam.
I'm double presenting today, so I'm going to share my screen.
Oops.
While we're paused, I just want to say, Maddie, I think we'll need to make Kathy, the other Kathy, a co-host for when she does want to present. So just want to get that on your radar.
Got it. Thanks.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So what I'm going to be talking about is more of an example of a specific case study, and talking about more. It's something I'm really excited about. It can be a little bit wonky, but it's something, a project that I was really excited about working on here at Rogue Valley Transportation District, and it's transit equity through fare. And obviously, you know, again, fare policy can be a little wonky, but it's something that literally all of our passengers interact with in some way. All of our departments within our agency interact with some way. So I want to make, you know, the work that we did introducing stored value and fare capping, which I'm going to be talking about here in a minute. We wanted to make sure that we introduced a system that is fair, easy to understand, and again, really equitable for all passengers and members in our community. So I talked a little bit about this before, but just again, making that connection between public transit and active transportation. So I'm in the transportation demand management world, transportation options. And so I work in my community to really promote all transportation options. And I see public transit again as extending people's bike commute, as making walking easier in our community, more accessible. So whatever I can do to help make transit easier, more accessible and convenient for folks, I feel like that's serving the greater need of transportation options and certainly of active transportation as well. So before I get into the kind of specifics of the new fare policy we established at RVT, I want to talk about why we decided to make this change, and why our board was eager to adopt this new policy. And it was really based on our community adopted goals and our transit master plan. So a few of those goals in there that really speak to this change, this adoption of this new fare program, are our goal to connect our community in a really equitable fashion that kind of connects all portions of our community and improves the quality of life, providing cost-effective service and providing a service that is convenient, safe, and you know, comfortable for our passengers. So that was really the kind of the guiding force behind us going over to stored value and fare capping, and why I think it was kind of a no-brainer for us to do so as well. So some of you may know, but as a quick kind of background information, what is stored value fare? So us, before we implemented stored value fare in April of 2021, we had a trip and calendar-based system, which you all might be familiar with. So basically, we had cash paying folks on board the bus that could pay for fare at the fare box, or people can purchase actual passes in the form of 20-ride passes, so trip-based passes, or monthly passes, which are kind of calendar-based passes. And these are fine and all, but the issue with these sort of passes is there's a set price for them. So for example, our monthly pass of $56, to gain the benefit of monthly pass, you have to front the entire cost of that pass all at once, which can be really difficult for passengers that are low income. So stored value can be seen as a pay-as-you-go approach. So instead of purchasing passes up front, you are essentially deducting fare from your account each time you ride. And so that's not really the part I'm really excited about as far as it relates to stored value. What I'm excited about is the fare capping, which is enabled by selecting stored value. So fare capping If you all don't know, it's considered to be one of the fairest fares. And essentially what it is using that stored value fare where you're automatically deducted, your account's automatically deducted each time you ride the bus, is that we set caps. So for RBTD, we set a day cap and a monthly cap, which is equivalent to our day pass and our monthly pass. And what's really beneficial about this is that passengers don't need to make a decision on what pass is best for them or what they're able to afford. These benefits are automatic. So if a passenger is using stored value fare, once they reach $6, which is equivalent of our day pass, they're capped for the rest of that day, which means we'll never charge them more than $6 in a day, no matter how many times you ride. And it's the same thing for a monthly pass. Once they reach $56 in a month for full fare, we will never charge them more in that given month. And what this does is it makes those benefits of a day pass and monthly pass more accessible to our cash paying customers, and more accessible to folks that can't front the costs of these passes up front. As we're doing research for this transition, we were seeing that there was many passengers that were actually paying more than the cost of a monthly pass during the month because they weren't able to, again, front that cost of a monthly pass. And these are passengers who are probably very low income and they just didn't have $56 to spend all at once. And it's not fair to them that they're basically being punished for not being able to front the cost of this. So with stored value and fare capping, it really makes these benefits automatic, and it always benefits the passenger and not the agency necessarily. So kind of a passenger profile, and one of the reasons I think we were really excited by doing this is based off our 2018 passenger survey, 38% of our riders reported household incomes of $25,000 or less. So very low income. And I think whatever we can do to make transit more accessible and affordable for them is something that's going to benefit our entire community. Again, Greater Jackson County, 26% live below the census-defined poverty line, and I really see fare capping as a really fair way that we can offer these automatic benefits to all of our passengers and all members in our community. Again, as part of our transition, we really researched this over the course of a year. It is a big transition for us, so anything with fare, again, affects everyone, all of our passengers and all of our departments. So as part of this transition, we did a lot of marketing and outreach. So we developed videos that were both in Spanish and English. Again, using our established networks and community to reach out to everyone. So again, this is where we relied heavily on partners to get this information out to folks. At first glance, it's really not such an easy concept to understand. You have to talk with people multiple times because people are used to our fare system that we had previously. So it's getting this information out in multiple different ways and making sure that they understand the benefit to them and what they're getting when they're choosing stored value and what fare capping does for them and how it benefits them. So again, we did outreaches both Spanish and English. We relied heavily also on videos, short and longer videos that we got out in the community through paid advertisement, and also again working with partner groups to make sure people understood the change. We launched in April of 2021, so during the pandemic. We launched, our ridership was still low, but since then it's currently over 25% of our fare sales is stored value, and it's increasing. I think as more people come to understand the benefits of stored value fare capping, we're going to see this new option increase more in our among our passengers. And then kind of the next steps I have for this project is trying to attract our remaining cash paying customers. So currently 70% of our passengers use our eFare system, and 30% still use cash. And those cash paying customers, of course, are not able to realize the benefits of fare capping or any of our other fare products for that matter. So whatever we can do to attract them onto the system would provide them with benefits. And one of the things we're looking at doing is using the InComm retail network, which is essentially people able to load their passes, reload the fare on their passes at anywhere the gift cards are sold. InComm's the biggest retail network, so you can think of places like CVS, Fred Meyer's, Walmart, different grocery stores where they'd be able to go in and actually load fare onto their accounts. It'll drastically increase the access to our bank community and get them on board and realizing the benefits of this fare. And then one of the things I wanted to highlight is obviously technology can be a barrier for many of our community, but it doesn't have to be. It was really important to us that we offered, we weren't just relying heavily on an app for folks to use fare, but we offered multiple ways they can interact with this fare system, either through the app if they wanted to, or also through a physical card, where people could again load fare onto this. Onto their account using this card, and they can do that either on their own, through our website portal, or at physical locations that we have set up throughout the valley. And a lot of this, technology not being a barrier is about communication and making sure people understand what they can do to get on our system, and better ways to get the benefits of the system that we're trying to offer. And then finally, I wanted to touch on the passengers experience and what the response has been from passengers. It's been, again, over 25% of our sales are in the form of stored value, and it's increasing. We've done plenty of outreach events throughout the past 6 to 8 months, and overwhelmingly, people are really they see the benefit in stored value and fare capping, and they're really grateful. We actually just spoke with a woman 2 weeks ago that she asked us to print out a transaction report of her account because she wasn't quite understanding the fare capping. She thought in some way she was cutting us out of paying her fair share, but we're explaining to her that these caps are automatic, and I think she finally understood. But she's very grateful that she was one of those people that was paying more than the cost of a monthly bus pass over the course of a month, and these kind of benefits are automatic in her system as she rides. So she was very grateful for that, and this is just kind of an example of some of the feedback we've gotten. And again, as people understand this fare system more, I expect more people to adopt it and to start using it more as their primary fare option. So I will stop my screen share, and I believe now we have Kathy Fitzpatrick, who's going to be talking about the exciting program she's doing up in the gorge. So Kathy, I'll hand it off to you.
Thanks so much, Adam. That was really inspiring. And I'll be talking about a different kind of transit funding program. Let me get my screen up. All right, just make sure. Can you see that, Adam? Excellent. All right, I'm going to be talking about the Gorge Pass, which is a $40 annual pass that gets you around the gorge, to the gorge from Portland, Vancouver metro areas, and gets our gorge residents into the Portland and Vancouver metro areas. It's a really exciting pass program with a lot of exciting features that I'm going to tell you about. Whoops. There we go. So first of all, I just want to explain that in the last couple of years, transit has expanded exponentially in the gorge, and most places are really accessible by transit, especially coming in and out of Portland and Vancouver areas. And really, when you look at who's coming into the gorge, our 2.5 million visitors, it's mostly from the Portland and Vancouver areas. And previously, those people couldn't visit the gorge unless they could drive, or unless they owned a car, or they rented a car, or they paid an Uber or Lyft $250 to have them dropped off at Multnomah Falls, and sometimes got stuck there because nobody wanted to come back from Portland and pick them up. So it was a very narrow bunch of people who had access to the gorge to visit our amazing recreational areas and wonderful views and outdoor experiences. But because of this great wealth of transit that we've built up in the last few years, the gorge has become more accessible to more people. So we decided that we would create what we call the Gorge Pass, and it's a pass that gives you access to 5 of the five transportation providers in the gorge, providing transit, providing fixed route transit. So it gives you access to all of their fixed route services, and for a one very low annual fee, $40. So who is it that's using the Gorge Pass? Who is it that loves the Gorge Pass right now? Well, it's people coming in from Portland, day trippers and weekend trippers. It's our commuters who are commuting from the gorge into Portland and vice versa, or just from the Dalles to Hood River. Their students. This is Eduardo, and he regularly takes the Columbia Gorge Express into Portland from Hood River because he is attending Portland State University. So there's a lot of reasons why people are buying the Gorge Pass, and so we really saw that as an opportunity to create something new, to really make sure that, like Adam said, like $40 is sometimes too much for somebody to pay all at once. So who was it that didn't have access to the pass, and could we create a system to get passes into their hands? So we've created the Gorge Pass Equity Fund. And this is a slide that shows all of the bridges in the gorge, showing our connectivity from Oregon over to Washington over the Columbia River. There's the Bridge of the Gods is the first bridge you see, then the Hood River Bridge, and then way in the background is the Dalles Bridge that takes you over to Goldendale and places beyond. So here's how the equity fund works. So let's say an individual buys a pass. Well, $1 of each of those passes goes right into the equity fund. Or we have an employer's equity fund program. And I'll talk about that in a second. Now, that equity fund for employers, what they do is really each employer has sort of implemented it in different ways. There's one big tech company in the gorge that has made that pass free, available to any one of their 700 employees who wants to claim a pass. So every one of those 700 employees can claim a pass, and after 10 of those are claimed, all of the rest of those passes are buy one, give one. So there will be 690 passes that go into the equity fund and are distributed to some really great organizations that we're working with. So we're not just handing out free passes. We are working very closely, very deliberately with organizations that really focus on getting lesser served populations out into the outdoors, those who maybe haven't felt welcome in the outdoors previously, or just don't know haven't had access to the outdoors. So we're working with companies like organizations like Culture Seed, Wild Diversity, Geo. So and of course the Next Door has their own Latino outdoors program. So we're working with organizations to get passes to them, so that they are working directly with the people that they serve to make sure that they have a great experience, and to make sure they know how to use the pass, make sure they know how to use the bus, and make sure that when they get to a trailhead, they feel welcome and they know what they're doing. So it's a really great program. We do have a very extensive program where we're working with organizations in the gorge who work with lower income folks from many different backgrounds. and we're working one-on-one with them. Now, these folks may need passes not to get into the outdoors, although they could certainly do that. But what we're working with them on is making sure that they can get to medical, they can get to education, they can get to their jobs, and that they know how to use the pass, and that they get great experience getting on the bus. So we're working with organizations who are helping to sort of expand the education about transit. So what can you all do? And I love that Kathy ended her slide with putting it back on all of us who are participants here. Don't just be a participant, go out and ride the bus, take a picture of yourself, send it to the transit provider that you're using their bus system. Purchase a gorge pass, get out into the gorge, go visit a waterfall that, not Multnomah Falls. Go visit some other waterfall that's just as beautiful and not as crowded. But definitely tell your story about transit. Walk, bike, show yourself walking or biking to transit. This is the way that we've got a lot of funding out there that's coming through federal and state sources, both in Washington and Oregon. And this is the way that we can show that these dollars are being well spent, and that we're all out there really using these amazing resources. And that is the end of my presentation. I think we're going to open it up to questions. So Edem and Kathy, if you want to return, I'll stop sharing. And we'll open it up to questions in the chat, or you can just turn your camera on. And we see Lane has a hand up.
Hi, Adam, I'm wondering if you've explored any options for income-based adjustments to the fare cap.
We, as of yet, we have not. It'd be really, I think our barrier there was like managing the system. We do have a low income bus pass program that we partner with several different agencies here in the Rogue Valley to get that out. And basically we commit a certain amount every year and distribute this directly to partner agencies to get these out to the people that they serve. And the eligibility there, of course, being low income communities.
Thanks.
Diana has a question, and she put the question in the chat.
Yeah, sadly, it only let me direct message the questions to you while you were talking. My two questions are people who live with disabilities included in the planning groups? And the second question is, are the falls areas being made easier for people who use mobility devices to access them?
It's a great question. And I did see that Jan Campbell is in the room. So so I might have her add any additional information, but I do want to say, yes, the Friends of the Columbia Gorge actually have two big planning projects that really focus with a huge focus on making two historical trailheads and sites more accessible and really enhance that access for people with disabilities, and also for all sorts of different communities. Those planning processes are ongoing. I don't know, Jan, do you have anything to add to that?
Actually, I did have sort of an aside. The buses that could get us there. I mean, how many spaces are there for mobility devices? I use a power chair these days, and I'm concerned that, having purchased the Gorge Pass, I would be able to get a small group of friends together and be able to get there. Public transportation is my only means of getting around.
Right. So you're worried that there wouldn't be enough wheelchair space, especially if there's a group that are wanting to go at one time. I would and are you coming from Portland area? So would you be getting on the Columbia Gorge Express?
Yeah, I
Is that
live
where
in
you're-
Forest Grove, actually. And
Uh-huh.
Ann and I have actually talked about heading out that way sometime during the nice weather, and because we're on a couple committees together. But the limitation of area that's available for people using any kind of mobility devices is a factor that prevents people from getting together in a small group and being able to enjoy these areas of Oregon.
Yeah, I would, interestingly enough, Columbia Area Transit is just engaging in their transit master plan. And that's just an excellent question. I'm sure I'd be surprised if they haven't, if they're not grappling with that question yet, but I would love that to be a focus group if you and Jan are interested I'll put my contact in the chat, in getting a hold of me, and then we can talk to Kat, Columbia Area Transit, and talking about forming a focus group, and that could be part, inform their transit master plan.
Thank you.
And Kathy, this is Jan. I think we talked about the Columbia Transit when we've been meeting, and I think that's one thing we wanted to do. But I still have not been able to find out, especially coming from Portland, if there's more than one space for a mobility device. And I have your information, so we may still work on that.
Okay.
I just need to go out and try it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's probably, yeah, that's actually, yeah, that's bold and brave. But I'd really like to find out from Kat what their protocol is, because I'm sure this isn't the first time that they've run into that question. It's a great question. Is there anybody else?
Yeah, if we're
So
not,
I just want to add, while we have an opportunity, just to explain that the aforementioned poll, we had some technical difficulties, and so we will not be launching that. So thanks for everybody for being on the edge of your seat for that. Maybe we'll have a different way to disseminate it at some other time, but just wanted to, in case all of you were holding your breath, wanted to fill you in.
Kevin, can you just relieve the tension? Like, what was the question you were going to ask?
Well, there were 5 of them, and I don't have them in front of me because I had
Oh.
sent them on to the Street Trust, so I can't.
I'm happy to read those questions though.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, let me open my email real quick. Hi, everyone. This is
So
Maddie Carlson
the
from the
poll
Street Trust.
questions were part of trying to frame perspective and, just create an awareness of perspective.
Okay, here we go. The first one was, what motivates you the most to participate in a project? These are all multi-choice. Posting website, social media post, friend, coworker, neighbor, or specifically invited. Question 2 was, what makes you feel like your opinions are valued? Engaged responses, lists on whiteboard, automated survey responses, or follow up with credit given. Question 3 was, how do you feel when asked for your input? It's either valued or it doesn't matter anyway. Question 4, how do you feel if you never hear anything further about the project or input you provided? What a waste of time. Next time I won't bother. Can't wait to help out with something like that again. I'm not sure if that was read in that tone. Or I am glad I could help and make a difference. And finally, question 5, what makes you feel like it's worth it to put in the extra effort to be part of a project or provide input? Knowing you did your part, hearing you helped represent voices that were otherwise not heard from, seeing your input documented and work implemented, or getting a personalized thank you with examples of how your participation was valuable.
So all of those kind of are, they're they're thought provokers are meant to be, so that when you are considering an outreach effort, you might think of these things and think of how you yourself are motivated, because not everybody's motivated the same way. And thank you all. This has been
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you, everyone, so much. I think we can, unless there are any, I'll give one more second if there's any final questions. If not, we can let you out a few minutes early. So thank you, everyone, for giving your amazing presentations. And as Kathy said earlier, it's just very inspiring and exciting to hear all of